Okay. Okay, great. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us here tonight or this morning or whatever time of day it is where you are to celebrate the launch of Rebecca Smith's translation of Susana Thenon's Ova Completa, which is just out from Ugly Duckling Press. I'm Dan Owen. I'm an editor of Ugly Duckling Press, and I was fortunate enough to work on editing this book along with Silvina Lopez Medin. It was truly a pleasure to help bring this book into the world. Rebecca's assiduous dedication to all of the myriad details and nuances in Thenon's poems has been a really inspiring process to witness. So originally our hope for this launch was to do a live event, which of course is impossible now, but luckily Rebecca has some truly excellent poets in her pod that could come and read with her at the UDP studio tonight, Asiya Wadud and Silvina Lopez Medin. So we're very grateful that at least the three of them can be together in physical space to celebrate the book's release and read together. Asiya will be reading first from her book, No Knowledge is Complete Until It Passes Through My Body, forthcoming in February from Nightboat Books, followed by Silvina, reading from her book, Poem That Never Ends, forthcoming in fall 2021 from Essay Press. And then finally, Rebecca will read from her translations of Ova Completa. Ova Completa is available now for pre-order on the UDP website, and I'll add the link to that in the chat shortly. And I'll also add a link to the pre-order for Asiya's book. I should also mention that the next mailing of UDP subscription packages will be going out in the post soon, which will include Ova Completa and all of our December 2020 titles. So if you'd like to subscribe to UDP and receive this shipment plus the whole year's worth of UDP to come, I encourage you to do so, and I'll put the link to subscribe in the chat as well. Before we begin, I want to take this opportunity to thank Ruby Kapka, who designed the beautiful cover of the book, and Maria Negroni, who wrote the afterword for the book. I'd also like to thank UDP's apprentices, Bria Strothers, Raphael Schnee, and Aine Jong for all the work they do on a day-to-day basis, and particularly for introducing each of our three readers tonight. Bria will first introduce Asiya, then Raphael will introduce Silvina, followed by Aine introducing Rebecca and Susana Thenon. So thanks again so much to all of you for gathering with us here across various spaces and time zones to celebrate the release of Ova Completa. And now I'll turn it over to Bria Strothers to introduce Asiya Wadud.
Thank you, Dan. So my name is Bria. I have the honor of introducing Asiya. Reading Asiya's work during this particular difficult time was a matter of extreme comfort for me, from the fluidity of form she engages with to bringing personhood and the experience of the other to the forefront. Asiya is the author of several books, including Crosslight for Young Birds by Nightboat Books, Day Pulls Down the Sky, A Filament in Gold Leaf in collaboration with Okwe Opakwasili, along with Dance Space Project and Belladonna, and Syncope from Ugly Duckling Press, which was most recently nominated for a Hurston Wright Foundation Award in Poetry. For her forthcoming book, No Knowledge is Complete Until It Passes Through My Body, will be published by Nightboat Books in 2021. It is described as a revelatory collection of poems that document the forces that shape the human body and movement. Along with being a member of the Belladonna Collaborative, Asiya teaches poetry to children at St. Anne's School and occasionally leads an English conversation group for new immigrants at the Brooklyn Public Library. So please join me in welcoming Asiya Wadud.
Thank you, Bria. Thanks, Bria, so much. It's so nice to see all of you in your little Zoomy boxes tonight. So, and I'm so honored to be here to celebrate with Rebecca tonight, this special occasion, and to have an occasion to gather. It's not so easy this year at all. So it feels really special to be here in person and to be with all of you. I'm just going to read a few poems from this new book. It'll be out in February. This is called L, and it's a poem that I wrote in conversation with a poem by Claire Wamenholm. It's called O. This is L. You'll understand why it's called L. Long live our loyalty, how it loops, falls, lumbers, lulls, and lists, finally resisting its own limpness. Long live anything that has long wished to live, the lasso, the lake, the limit, the left lane, the spices spinning on their lazy Susan, the lavender field at peak bloom, the lustrous and oven hot, land and the outliers, land and the legion of the Outer Banks, land and the landed, latitude, and that was my limit until I looked left. What length we expect to cover in these longitudinal years. Early loops slice lengthwise to see their insides. The latent exercise of the loom, left to right, layered weft and warp, listening to its language leached all across the living room. An antecedent to loyalty is drift, drift or look away from the limit. Let me look at the warped shapes inside the lava, angry loaves lifting the mouth of the mountain, then lifting clear off the mountain. Leavened loaves at the limit of their leavening. Left loaves rock hard obsidian thoughts make. My yearling, even luxury has its limits, having lived or existed all year long. Love is a lifetime of long live our loyalty, how it loops, falls, lumbers, lulls, and lists, finally resisting its own limpness. A lifeline, or ulna, all my limber bones held in my left hand. I have placed the bones on a bay laurel wreath, placed the wreath inside a barrel, lined up the barrel alongside other barrels laden with laurels and ulnas. What to say of lavishing honor? What to say of laconic? I once tried. What of leisure or lassitude? Lateral pines loosen at the ends of their branches, languishing before they fall, loop through the extra air. I'm alone in the lake region, algae bloom at my ankles, loaves lifting the mountains to make fresh archipelagos. I'm gonna read, I think, 4 poems. So this is number 2. This is a poem for Dion Brand that I wrote last year when I was in Mexico City, and I was certain that she was there, and I was carrying her newest book with me everywhere I went. And I was really certain that I would run into her eventually because I had her book everywhere I went. And so I finally emailed her. I was like, Dion, are you in Mexico City? And she wrote me back and she said, no, but I just left. I thought so. It felt so perfect. So I wrote this for Dion Brand when I was reading The Blue Clerk. All his 5 fingers with the mirror weight of the bluebird, which I cupped, it with this broken leg, us at the end. The nail beds and undernails, yellowed and matte. What mattered is how he held the fruit. He placed for me in a bag the fruit of the market, which mattered because now the blue bag held the weight, the levied load. The bluebird limped, its blue wings and undercurrent, fluttering then stillness, blue in its movement, blue quiet articulation. I learned that if you are gentle with a bluebird, a sparrow, a dove, they will gently double back. I removed my sweatshirt, a guardian enveloping her nest. I put the bird where it belonged. I cupped the bird in my shirt and we drove on. I slowed my breathing. The bird nested against my chest. When I asked after the smallest fruit at the market, the man told me, peel back the flesh. The underbeds and undernails carrion a budding breath, stillbird and bluebird contorting in the aftermath. The bird remained calm. The eye and I called the doctor. This is how we tended to each other. Subsequently, I requested 3 of each fruit, 3 guava, 3 apples, 3 mandarin, a third of a bucket of the new fruit, a third of the peppers available. The bird tried 3 times to escape. Each time I was humbled by its need for flight, despite its broken wing. Each time my eye got me, I swiftly gripped back. I put the bird where it belonged, a spoon in my grip, on the way to the animal doctor. Outside, the birds are signaling in a chorus of thirds, and then for what's to come. I left the market with the 3 fruit chanches and the bluebird in the care of the able doctor. Sometimes I reference a picture of the bird. I have not yet pulled up an image of the blue bag with its thirds. It remains evident, immediate in my proximity. This week is a way to say that for a third of my life, I have thought about flight. This week is to say that flight is divisible by 3: action, procession, and recompense. This week is to say the visual field is a variegated membrane with every kind of bird. I left the market with the tranches. As I left, the gentlest man, he who chose the fruit for me, sweetly, for I can only know this kind of distributive love as intending. As I left, the gentlest man, he who chose the fruit for me, assuredly took my one hand in his 2 hands. My hand rested, aware that I could breathe, my gaze grace. There have been so many times where I have sheltered birds, and in turn where I have been sheltered by anything. Flight is the process of ascension, of future despite absence. Flight is the certain cool vacuum of levity, the slow will ride the air capriciously. Flight attenuates to birth rate. Imagine all the loads we are meant to carry, the murmurations when they finally disperse. Imagine dispersal as a series of decisions, now dispersal as a series of angles, diaspora as the low, pregnant boomerang. There have been beloved times where I have sheltered birds, and in turn where I have been sheltered by whatever. All 5 fingers were the mirror weight of the bluebird which I cupped it with its broken leg. He placed for me in a bag the fruit of the market, which mattered because now the bluebird tarries and waits. The load lightens. For breakfast, I feasted from the blue bag, tranching the fruit out in thirds. 3 is anything divisible by God. A triptych is a manifestation. A trilogy is a good succession. Triplets written Owen 3 times. God is anything that bears a load. A swallow is the space between my God and the bluebird. A swallow is space between my God and the bluebird. And maybe I'll read just one more. I'll read one more. Okay. What do I have to choose? So you're so excited? Okay, it's gonna start now. The back door of the Lone Coast. Abnegation began in December, something to do with the raw finish of endings, to do with the saline clarity or finish. Abnegation, or I can have it both ways, is in part credence, part self-splayed. The heart line of my left palm extends to receive whatever it is you place in it. I bet it will be sustenance because I have known how it is to be fed. Abdication, or the act of annexing another country, or the act of crawling deeper into the hole for the purported days that act as some extension. I made a charcoal line in the wet cement while it was being laid, stuck a few pebbles in the corner as the cement set. Knew each time I saw the pebbled surface would be reminded of the moment when I placed the pebbles in the pavement of the wet cement. I'm always half here, moving the bouquet around the house. Let its little shuddering petals fill me. Hold the neck of the vase. Don't dare let it slip. Abnegation began in December, something to do with the self-made endings. Chlorophyll in the winter is a commitment, but possible. Train the pothos toward the sun so that it can grow. Might as well let it grow if you plan to let the plants live. I could not burden you with this kind of abnegation, so instead took to the bed, stayed there all night, slept for the 8 hours of it, woke up on a Sunday. My head leaked the message, everything set to orchestra pitch. The radio reminded me that if I could commit, I could do it my way, place my foot in the black asphalt, take my foot to the cement for clearance. The cooler weather began in December. I didn't notice when the cloud coverage ended. My eyes were trained on the ground, and since I trained them, I saw the phalanx of my winter shelter. In the night, I sweat out all the abject days or humiliation. The ceiling fell around me, and I belatedly sought shelter under the desk. I asked my sister to join me, and I awoke at the threshold, snow banter of drywall, dreamlike in this way. I awoke at the threshold, all cleaved and cleft. Abnegation is a coolish lean lake, slipping into the logic of threefold then deliverance. The whole marks its own shape. Abnegation is an aseptic aqua lake. I've seen this kind of water, all stylized and brute, all shelter-shorn and brute, all gradient, stalled becoming. I've seen this kind of water leaks out to life, something like a crosshatch, but I think he said we are only made by giving away what humble placeholders we are given. What we are given was cultivated in a garden. Arkansas crosshatch, Cain crawled down the corridor, faith talk and myrrh, or iron ore and oxidation. I tried to board a flight, bird-like in furcula, wishing in my documents, night train and terror, compartments or gardens. I have tried to board a flight. I succeeded 78 times, stamp marked my entry, foul language my exit, but anyways means nothing to me, barely matches my imprint. I retreat to the garden, let its language provide the slippage, let its countervalence get more vivid, let to lean. I have used the blueprint as a maritime future, used it as a seafaring fold. All foul futures never rest. Blueprint, I'll show the magistrate and expect to claim what is mine, or at least clarify what I meant. I thought to ask permission or to just erase the door from the back entrance, room to room to room to green finish, vaunted ceilings and picture windows, a vacuum or comfort in the cavity, comforted by the room and oiled all the birch doors. Abnegation or the lone coast, the back door or the lone coast, clarify what I meant or the lone coast. Thank you.